true, it does all actual plan.
First, I'm going to do a minor repair.
First
Then I'm
off,
going to answer the plan.
justification. Alright, ready? Top count interpretation and top goal beneficiary eligibility aspects allow a substantial number of persons to qualify for a visa and provide visas to those persons attached to 60. I need to be eligible to file the application part of the alien to me. Every eligibility corresponds to certain numerical limitation on the number of aliens of the law that must be admitted in a given year with respect to eligibility. A establishes specific numerical forms of the admission of certain statutorily defined categories moving against violation. They just make potential visas available to the existing pool via vote. Negative one limits the top priority for other interpretation makes being negative possible something to be small again. Cases that allow only a few people to qualify then claim huge development related advantages. Core ground for this topic is all predicated off of the increases by allowing people to qualify. They avoid the Western politics, economic consumption, sex stuff off is the D justice and the D justice successfully focusing on immigration law enforcement key to preventing illegal entry, diverty, and D justice influence on that strictly for immigration enforcement putting an implementation of proven by making the difficulty of legal targeting illegal aliens, increasing removal, much stronger interview, and immigration enforcement to counter illegal immigration. The plans to mandate overstretch the agency resources and diverse focus coverage of 3 with each round to mandate congressional mandates and letters testing priorities each mandated to emergency energy tackle full force points are all other requirements mandates the question and implement the changing of Christ and new back that half off the areas the agencies create frustration, decline, morale, compromising the D as after first nuclear biological tax reporting and 4 because of the asymmetric nature of the federal burden, the normal domestic formula about the teachers of the experience of portfolio of immigration control, central dome, better go after delivery system, airlines, suitcase, people, that operative for require protected and organ, the United States here keeping terrorist out is indispensable and it'll be nuclear terrorism, GSN 86, the possibility that a terrorist organization will launch an attack attack rates for the greatest security of the USA, and tell the department that all kind of other groups are centers requiring equal weapons of fusion of information where the assembly and resources terrorist organization for president of submission of civil material could help zoning section 2 and 70, as technologies have been into nuclear propulsion such small size to be used to transport across the heart of the city, single explosion economic consequences will likely have international and international economic consequences for population and our central are outside concentrated terrorist middle so they're attacked by the generation of capacity security who enables nuclear exchange and in this part conflict quantities system generating releases and global climate perturbations that offers cosmopolitanism disadvantages the liberal democratic state will gradually give way to a cosmopolitan global political community but a radical change in immigration policy towards openness with the real democratic process required to transition towards cosmopolitanism. Cristiano 8 is very reason within moral cosmopolitanism limit immigration and citizens are unsettled way modern immigration was 1 but immoral cosmopolitanism without being political cosmopolitanism long-term remote moral cosmopolitanism whole or all political communities in the earth would be established in global political community would be a premature and lead to oppression. The liberal democratic state represents best hope for bringing justice back to humanity essential global institution. D but outlets cosmopolitanism state global democratic state would be explained ancestral from the force that would run around the democratic territory immigration policy should be valued in terms of whether it under natural practices the policy should be rejected from cosmopolitan state because it derails the very institution that give us hope for realizing cosmopolitan justice. Then the sudden expansion of the notion of citizenship destroyed the transition of cosmopolitanism that prevents the development of global justice. Cristiano 8 global political any Western talks slowly and carefully the premature construction but leads to resentment these developments unless we undermine progress of cosmopolitan and pull and better sense of our possible justice establishing powers for the state and the sun and substantial expansion of citizenship could do great damage to the states and in their capacity to bring justice and successful transition to global cosmopolitanism is necessary to avert global suffering and war. Shaw 1 international policy was argued for cosmopolitan political community. This 2 weeks take full advantage of the way that transformation of civil society is inconceivable. We can have an emancipation without or state population to accept the whole community to global position below without global state diversity development and adequate global authority framework. We can hardly be in faction new. The goal principles of the about this establishing revolutionary wave depends on how well it's consolidated in each national community. Adding our social culture as cosmopolitan democracy address of world inequalities, challenges, and alternatives. Restructuring world institutions, revolutions, put into defeat new national wars, even nuclear conflicts out. In the counterpoint text of President of the United States, Executive Board mandating the creation of bipartisan independent commission with task damage to U.S. foreign policy really cars can say the extremely probable apples and authoritarian traditionalist countries, or apples must alone with soft greater economic damage to Christ, finance Christ, to be the moral life, realize the war to a world war, lose as long as finance Christ bad, economic times reward, can't get the world economy back on track, we will have to fight next up. Is a counterpunch tax the United States federal judiciary should interpret asylum and refugee requirements, holding that the legislative intent requires an individual who file claims against their employers and do not regularize immigration status presumptively, while applying as refugees who may seek asylum in the United States Attorney General should issue a binding precedential decision that directs and enforce the agency to grant asylum to these individuals, files a case courts have authority to do that the counterplan and the class of persons made eligible by the counterplan subsumed the trafficking victims covered by the plan. Hearts are two. The act is not practically those who are subject to severe form trafficking facing extreme hardship, most crime departments, conference of correction should be for adult people trafficked in the United States. Those of victims before should pay deterioration, not getting system human rights or asylum claim is this approach. As someone served for victims holding the United States accountable for humanitarian crimes, human rights claims, asylum revenue really was likely subsumed. The people laid by the TVs and refugee laws back and forth with people fleeing the persecution may seek asylum and legal must apply the United States to exercise discretion and grant asylum to refugees to record and the burden of proof. Domestic courts can interpret asylum law. Now there's no uniqueness for any of your terms. Harsh law 2. Unconsidered persecution for example was interpreted as domestic immigration law case. The counterplan solves the case is finding. Chapter 7. The Board of Immigration to refer the Attorney General for review is the application. The Attorney General directs the board to refer the regular Attorney General must be written in school for making policy without promulgating regulations finding on future case set. Same issues. Attorney General must review a case to be person he may direct the word refer to him in case an issue decision. The TVPA is connected by a history of connection to law enforcement, expanding the reliance on the TVPA only serves to complain trafficking with immigration and national security, which was enforcing agents to circumvent the plan. A7. The trafficking victim following the United States will often treat like criminal victims until the detention months, sometimes years greater with personnel application nomination undertaking past the TVPA and consequence U.S. personnel working on ensuring the purpose of the act while making law enforcement obscuring the root cause of prevent trafficking in favor of complaining trafficking with others with little interest by mistreating or misapplying some of the prisons failing to apply others each are not properly misapplying the sex code or not independent best issue having the best position to certify that certified someone not really be a victim for parental incidents on highlighting and proceeding notes to dean having illegal migration constitutes disorder to legal work of crime trafficking south and more over the plans and endorsement of visas reinforces the crime and punishment approach to the problem then asylum is key to create a right to protect a framework English 1 day law enforcement strategy to deferring victims to tax crime legalizing trafficking illegal migration women who traffic costing dashboard to right to protect to trafficking victim and face prosecution required to repatriate it only victim who not to refuse to rescind the same assurance to make the country of destination based on asylum total pineapple rises turns the whole case 70 everyone lists the victims that approaches directly up and no FBA rights for significantly better chance of being pre-certified enforcement and also criminals sometimes for the decrease in likelihood of the non-resident victim will return the case and false the realization that those who represent the shorts of government will understand the true nature of the problem the impact of the turn outweighs 70 alternate federalism and law enforcement here those who rescue mishandle their real victims human character cannot be arrested with themselves really victims representing criminals themselves. Case. Evaluate migration debates from the perspective of a policymaker considering consequences of competing proposals about a 10. The aside of migration policies must attempt to establish and critically discuss the ethical point of view of the framework of viability, achievability, but the policymakers not use a one-off situation with a reference to always in person speak about migration as we could examine choice by policymakers and controlling boards that the viable situation realizing curiosity is force was that that's key to ethics upon a 10. The ethical management desirability, viability, what's which viability states used in selections beginning of analyzing the time. Actually, ethics will board mentioned the framework of behavior replacing behavior applied action taking action reports and that is the ethical policy making and requires time sensitive adequacy decision. Specify the morality policymakers have the roles and intention of the consequences set to resource handful one's committed energy possibly. Like realism not required distinction between what is desirable also what is relevant in the context of place real essential that advice must be centralized moral politics was unacceptable. Watching will do the high falls words matter rational claims something more or less at death time to find more moral outcome rather than broken promise people last they suffer greatly and policy perceptions avoided consequences justify sacrificial war in the evangelical purity Louis 88 and on the political arena they become subject to the late process of political decision no taxes on civil deduction present problem those next policy must be unturned for seals has consequences of areas discretion here new are you someone one sole option on problem wins moral trade what are distinction in the about the self-abnegation policies of it and justice must be destroyed and solving race because the racism requires failure and the consequences of policy choices still in 1 or 3 and will not require impossible racism without planning place and moral reason for outcomes of world sense not rolling strictly moral sense we need some better robust morals and maybe it's not the consequences of a role is the world 3 distinct personal utilitarian values and many consequences whatever requires the utilitarian the unhelpful obligation one of our world duties to life to save lives make it more the world better the response moves by some favor of the racist status quo and never tolerate extinction less than 97 there's no selfish sex of giant human race should be forced to least human lives are heavy putting this problem response to human and raising million to keep it so and ever not classified for achieving men as a man or rate of post one keep one hands and I think it is a crime and action and it turns valuable life and how we said our right 54th part of be dead and be slave by putting in charge of private human honor over transforming human into constant over human race it's marked on human race.
Can't come to this last case,
yeah. Okay. What's the status of the kind of claim?
The status quo is always an option.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So let's talk about this cosmopolitanism, DA. Can you tell me which part of this evidence says that cosmopolitanism is coming now? It says in the long-term moral cosmopolitans hope for a global community.
It says there is an impetus and a desire for there to be a global political community. The last card also says that too.
Oh, okay. Well, so not the card that you tagged as a piece of uniqueness evidence.
Well, this
card from 2001.
This card is a uniqueness card.
Well, I'd love to know what the card says that.
There are two types of
Can you just quote from the card, please? Because I don't think the evidence says it.
Quote from the card what? What are you asking for? Like a card
the
that says it's
claim.
coming?
Yeah.
It says that because we are not willing to limit migration, is there any good reason within moral cosmopolitanism to limit migration? People will be unsettled by this, so one can hope that without being a political cosmopolitanism, in the long term, there will be a goal.
No, this is in the long term. Moral cosmopolitans hope for a global
yeah, and that's
community.
what they're pushing for.
Now,
What's your plan?
let me ask you this question. Your evidence says there's a difference between a moral and political cosmopolitanism. If we don't politically implement cosmopolitanism, who cares if we're moral cosmopolitans? I don't understand what
that's not the argument that Carter's making. The Carter's making that there's a distinction between people who think that we should work within the state for cosmopolitanism and people who think we should work from the ground up. And your plan, by expanding citizenship, expands the notion that
how do people who work from the ground up get anything done?
That they don't. That's the point.
Okay, well, our plan doesn't work from the ground up. It works from the state. So
but the point is that expanding citizenship through immigration flows is the wrong approach. It's a short-term
What is the right approach? That's the question I'm asking.
It's a gradual implementation of global cosmopolitanism, which allows
How does that happen? What laws get passed? No, I just want to know.
The thesis of this argument is that the public is unwilling to sign on for your plan. It's more likely that there's going to be a nativist backlash to it, which will...
Okay, so it's not the cosmopolitanism DA, it's the conservative backlash DA. That's what I thought. Let's talk about your Department of Homeland Security just said. Your argument is, this is a little laughable, that the DHS just said. Your argument is that the DHS is checking illegal immigration in the status quo. There's 12 million undocumented workers in the United States.
Infiltration of terrorists.
How is it possible? If it's true that undocumented people coming into the U.S. are a terrorist...
Not all of them are, obviously. That's not the argument.
How, given the number of undocumented people in the U.S. that we have no information about, is it likely that the DHS in the SQO is able to distinguish between those who are terrorists and those who are not?
Also makes a distinction about people who get visas.
I'd really just like an answer to the question that I'm asking.
You're making the dissent all about illegal immigrants, which it's not. That also is talking about law enforcement in the context of people who apply for visas. There are thorough security checks.
No, this evidence isn't talking about this.
Yes, it is. It's talking about the State
Department. The DHS has spent billions to strengthen immigration law enforcement. Funding implementation have proven effective in making it more difficult to legally enter the country, targeting criminal aliens and increasing removals. That's all this evidence is about. It says nothing about
the link card, which says
procedural question. Only net benefit to the counterplans is politics.
There's an internal net benefit.
The internal benefit.
Yeah.
Okay. Is politics net benefit to that counterplan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And the commission's counterplan does not mandate the plan happens.
No, it does not. The other plan.
Okay.